I'd rather use my skills that I honed over 20 years to create something that, adds value to our little business and means that, it's more sustainable and that potentially it could stand on its own 2 feet in the future.
Hi, everybody. This is Dani Valent. And in case you didn't know, you're listening to Dirty Linen. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and my lovely guests in this audio playground. Super happy, as always, to be chatting with you. Today, you may know we love a return guest, and today's guest is Jenna Abbruzzese from Addington Downs. This is the 4th time that we've had Jenna on the pod to talk about life as a lamb farmer. She transitioned from life as a chef, and now, she's still a chef, but she's definitely a farmer, and at the moment she is right in the thick of it at Addington Downs because it is lambing season. Jenna, welcome back to Dirty Linen.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me again.
So good to have you on the show, as always. Lambing, what is it? What is it like?
It's sleepless nights. There's people around here that there's probably about 1 million different ways that people lamb, but for us, because we're so small, it's really important that we don't lose any lambs. For big farms, it's a percentage that's built into their model so that you'll lose however many percent. But for us, we aim for 0, which is a bit ambitious, but why not aim for that? Because we just want to do our best. And so it's a lot of labour, a lot of monitoring and checking, and essentially it's like the culmination of all of the jobs that we've been doing throughout the year. And there's 5 months gestation. So, 150 or so days ago was when the rams went in with the girls, and generally, 145 to 155 days later, you'll see lambs coming out, hopefully, if the ram has done his job. But for us, we usually are erring on the earlier side because of the breeds of ewes that we run. They have high multiples, so definitely twins and quite a few triplets in there, and sometimes quads. So there's not a lot of room by the end of pregnancy for them in their body. So it requires a lot of monitoring them and their behaviour and observing what they're doing, because they can give off signals that are telling you what's going on with them. When they're carrying that many lambs, it's common to run into problems like pregnancy toxemia or hypocalcemia, and there's just different things that can affect the ewes, and it makes them go downhill really quickly. And there are things that you can do to get onto it, but essentially it's about their diet and their condition, or their body weight when they get pregnant, or what's going on throughout the pregnancy. So there's heaps going on that you can sort of steer. You can steer things. There's tools that you can use to do that. But it's a lot of observation. Yeah.
So how many ewes do you have that, either have lambed or that you hope will lamb soon?
So we have 24 ewes in total, and because we're suckers for punishment, we're trying to lamb twice a year. So we had our first sort of autumn lambing earlier in the year, and we're in the spring now, and so we try and lamb. Our goal is to have a few more of the ewes lamb in the spring, because that's when the bulk of the feed is grown. But essentially that is so that we can sell lamb boxes throughout the year. So we want to sell lamb boxes every quarter. And this way it spreads the lambing out over the year instead of having everyone lamb at one time. We're sort of spreading out the labour and spreading out the risk. And this spring we joined 10, no, yeah, 10 ewes and 2 does. So, because we've got the 2 goat girls. So some of the ewe lambs that we have are not ready to join yet. So that's where we've got 2 dozen. That's our goal. But some little ladies are still growing up, so they're not ready to go to the ram yet. So yeah, we're just sort of building our numbers. But we've had a bit of trouble at the start with one of the ewes, our best ewe. It's really devastating. She aborted her lambs. We had a really hectic weather event. I think it was 9 or 10 days ago now. And that brought on, well, I mean, we can just speculate, actually. We can't say for certain, but 3 of our ewes came into labour early. And the vet, when we spoke to Monica, she was like, "Oh, I've had heaps of clients ringing me because of this bloody weather." So, like, because we're still learning a lot, you sort of grab onto those nuggets, because it was very obvious to me that this is not abnormal, that a weather event like that can trigger the ewes to go into labour, and that you just have to be ready for something like that. So at least that was a relief in that sense. But it did mean that, so 3 of the ewes started lambing, and Valerie lost her lambs, and they died inside her, and we had to wait for her labour to progress. And it was a big, it was a big day. It was a long day. It was like 20 hours of trying to make sure that we got those lambs out, and to basically to save her. Yeah. So
what sort of emotions do you go through when you're in the thick of that, Jenna?
Well, at the start of that, when we realised that the lambs were no longer alive inside, and Alex, my partner, is a midwife, and so I'm always like, what would they do in the hospital? What if it was a woman? And a lot of the time it's very interesting, because once you get to a certain point, we would go for an emergency Caesar. We would call theatre, or she would call theatre to prep for an emergency Caesar. You can't do that. I mean, it's not really, I mean, you could, but not at 10 o'clock at night. The vet is not coming, and so we try to manage as well as we can to a certain point. Because otherwise it costs a lot of money. And I know some people who have very small flocks that they breed for shows. Like, there's baby doll breeders that I know who will call the vet because they've got show sheep. They've spent thousands and thousands on these sheep, but it's not viable in sort of a small scale meat operation for us to do that. And also, Alex does have good skills. So, I mean, in this setting, we can transfer those skills. And yeah, we just try to do as much as we can. And then Monica's actually really good, because she loves a phone consult. If she can get away with not coming and make sure that we're on track and that we've got everything we need, then we're actually really lucky that we've got this amazing relationship with our vet. So yeah, but the emotions around it sometimes are like, why I feel guilty, actually. It weighs really heavily on me, because, we got them pregnant. Everything we do affects them, where everything we feed them, everywhere we put them, everything we expose them to, we're responsible for their well-being and their diet and everything. And so, yeah, often I go through phases of like, oh my God, why did we do this? It's not fair. Like, I have like an existential crisis every week about like, what is the point of this? And, but you just need to have a good night's sleep and wake up in the morning, and you sort of remember, like, we are doing something that has meaning and is very, like, it's really purposeful. And when I guess the catch is, like, when it's good, it's really good. It's like magic. And then when it's hard, it can turn quite quickly. It can become depressing quite quickly. Yeah.
What is the meaning and the purpose, when you wake up and it feels like a good morning?
Because I feel like we're trying to farm in a way that is just more loving. And this might sound corny, but, like, I've got a lot of love. I've got a lot of love to give. And I think sometimes people might, I think it's too much for people sometimes. And I think that food is one way that loads of people show their love. And it's been a great outlet for me to be able to share and give, and like a conduit, really. But with the animals, like, the animals, I really love the idea that we can almost form, it's not a relationship, but you can look into the eyes of the sheep, honestly, like, and they know who we are. They know our voice. The ewe who is now she's recovering quite well. She knows that we were caring for her. Like, you can feel the connection. And I think that I don't expect a farmer who is, has 8,000 head of merinos to be looking into the eyes of every ewe in his yard. That's not really what I'm, pushing for. I'm just pushing for people to understand that if we take more time to care, which we should, everyone really should, we should care more about each other and more about the world that we're living in and the environment and everything. We just need to take a bit more time, like, slow down, like, not a lot of things that we're doing these days are not very important, right? But that takes time, and that costs money. So, we have to sacrifice some things to get the outcomes we want. And that's where that's why I'm trying to show people, like, how much effort we put in. We're making great progress here, but with our land and with the flock, but it takes a lot of work. Yeah.
So tell us about some of the good things when you've got some freshly made lambs gambling around. Tell me, set the scene for us.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Honestly, that is, like, get up in the morning and the sun is coming up. The sunrise is stunning here, coming up over Mount Bolton, and you're walking up the paddock and the grass, like, at the moment, just forget the water. just don't imagine all the water everywhere. But I'm really proud of the pasture that's just really on the brink. We're just waiting for that warmth to come now, and it's going to go crazy. And I've got great cover in the paddocks, and it's like, as I'm walking up to check everyone, I'm really like, yes, we're doing it. Like, the grass is growing. And then the little lambs come running out, and they're so cute. Like, they look really sprightly. They're healthy. They're putting on weight every day. Their mums are loving them. Their mums have got beautiful milk, big udders, and there's all these little things that you're observing to make sure that, they're boxes that you need to be ticking off, but they're also, like, it's really satisfying, because if they're not being fed beautifully, then they're not going to be making all that milk. And if they weren't cared for before the lambs come out, then the lambs won't be, sprightly and beautiful. So it's like a reward, I guess, for, like, a long time of, the whole year behind that. Yeah.
So, Jenna, I'm a city girl and I say weather, but you're a farmer now and you say weather event. So tell us about the changed relationship that you have with weather.
I just listened to the pod you did with the man from the hotel, and he is very in tune with his veggie growers, because he's talking about El Nino, and he was talking about the wet winter we've had. And so I think that it's interesting for me to see, like, to hear chefs are really engaged with the farmers and the growers about what's been happening, what's ahead of us. And so, yeah, that wasn't really the case when I was an apprentice. You just sort of knew if there was a flood in Queensland because, like, the green beans would be, 3 times the price or that sort of thing, or like the banana shortage. But nowadays, lots of people are sourcing everything so locally that, yeah, they've got that relationship with the farmer. So I guess now for us, it relates to our land and our animals, but also our friends. Like, our friends were affected by the bushfire in Harcourt earlier in the year. And also, I guess I never used to have anxiety over the weather, and now I do, because even just thinking about the summer, like thinking about the bushfire in Harcourt that day, the forecast for that day here was 40 degrees with 100-kilometre winds. And I had never heard of anything like that. And I mean, it was clear at the time that many people hadn't ever experienced that in their lifetime. And I just remember being home. Alex was on night shift and she was asleep during the day. And we're already used to having things packed up ready to go. We'd already been evacuated a couple of times, in the previous years. But that weather was just bananas. And it was the first summer where we'd had the flock is as big as it's been. So I was out walking the paddocks maybe every hour just to make sure that a fire can only be reported if someone sees it. And so, most people out here have the app. And so the app will pop up, a little icon pops up you can set your radius of where you want to monitor. But the icon only pops up because someone has reported that fire. And so my fear was, and my neighbour was away, and she has, 160 acres at the base of Mount Bolton and another 150 up the other end of the road going up the mountain. So if something happened there, no one was there to see what was going on. And I just was really stressed. And so I remember walking the back road and I was lifted off the ground because of the wind. And I just thought, what would happen if the bushfire, if we get a fire? And then, the weeks passed by and we just kept on seeing how hard it was for the Harcourt community. And Alex and I basically just decided that we have to think, the mind frame has to be that the fire will come here one day. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And we just have to do work every year to just get better prepared. You can't do everything in one year to prepare the best possible way you can. You just have to keep chipping away at it and make it some sort of priority, like up on the list. There are little things that we can do that will just put us in a better situation every year. But I think that will be something that I have to manage. Like, I'm a highly emotional person and I don't want to fear the summer every year. So yeah, I'm not sure how to I actually don't know how I'm going to manage that.
Well, spring is springing and I have similar concerns about summer. I love seeing the budding leaves and, the blossoms that are coming and just feeling the extra warmth in the air and the lighter mornings. But I do also just think, winter is more relaxing. You don't have to worry about bushfires and extreme heat. Maybe that's just the era we're living in where summer is a season of likely horror as well as icy poles and barbecues. But I mean, for you with animals whose eyes you look into, and you have that bond of care. There's obviously so much more depth and so many more layers to that than what I experience. So, thanks for doing what you're doing. Jenna, let's talk about events and your dipping back into life as a chef. We recently were, I could say we collaborated on an event, but basically you did all the work and all I did was come along and MC on the day. I
don't agree with that, but anyway.
There was a lunch at Scrub Hill, not far from where you are, in a beautiful glass pavilion next to an old church. The place is normally used for weddings, but we ran a pork lunch there where you showcase the beautiful pork from Brooklyn's Free Range Farms, where you also work. Tell us about the lunch and what it meant to you.
Well, it was really special. Like on the day, I didn't expect I had only dreamed that we could create the vibe that I felt when I was in the room. I was not really in there as often as what I was in the kitchen cooking. So every time I came to the dining room, I just like, whoa, we actually did it. The vibe was so warm and beautiful and everyone was jolly, and I just really I don't know how to explain how I don't want the event to be about me. I really don't. I hate the limelight. I don't want the focus to be on me. I really want the focus to be on the meat. Like produce is produce, but specifically for me, growing meat for us to eat and having to take a life this is the journey I'm on, and it's very important to me that we honor the beast. And yeah, I really want people to be more on board with that. And so the way I think to do that is to just create an event where people can come, and because if they're not experiencing it every week in their home, or they don't buy a box from a farmer yet, or they're just curious, or this is a way that they can become more engaged and meet other people and we can chat about it. And I mean, because the problems that we face with processing animals, there's so many other things that we can talk about that relate to that. And I mean, food is just like this huge, big umbrella basically for all. We could talk for days and days about all the things. And yeah, I love that. There's the opportunity there to bring people to the region and and just celebrate the animals, really.
Yeah, well, I feel like you really did that with I think 4 courses centered around this beautiful pork, of different ages that had been preserved, that had been braised. It was very layered and beautiful. We had wine from Mearth, who were also in the area and were also impacted by the Harcourt bushfires. And they spoke as well. Nats and Jono from Brooklands spoke about, I think it meant a lot to them to see their products showcased like that and honoured like that, and people really appreciating it. So I guess there were different ways that people could connect to it. It's just a yummy lunch with friends in a beautiful place.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be so complex. Like, yeah, it's just like, a way to really show off the farmers for a day, because they work so hard, like everyone I know who produces meat that I've connected with from being a chef, from working in hospitality and beautiful restaurants, they work so hard. And I think, not everyone has the energy or the drive to push to get their meat on restaurant menus. And I mean, sometimes that it's just the farming that is a big slog, and there's all these other things that people forget, that having a farm means you have a business, like it's a small business. So there's a lot of hats that people have to wear. And I think, the chefs do such a great job of showcasing the producers.
Mm. Well, we're going to get together again Saturday, 7th of November and Sunday, 8th of November again, you're doing all the work and I'm just rocking up and chatting. Tell us what's happening, Jenna.
So the lovely Jennies who own the Old Macaroni Factory in Hepburn Springs have, I think, painstakingly, would you agree? Like, they have really slogged it to restore that building.
I mean, I just feel like no one else could have done it. No one else would have been as dogged as they have been. Just have the various skills in design and admin and paperwork and charm to get it all done. So there's a lot of podcasts I'm going to link to at the end in the show notes, because I'll link to, you mentioned Josh Bosen, the hotel chef who was recently on the show talking about El Nino and farmers. We had a podcast with the Jens towards the start of the year announcing this series, which we're launching in November. So we've stuck it in 2026. That's good. And also we'll link to your earlier podcast, Jenna. So Old Macaroni Factory is absolutely amazing. And not only are you the chef, but you've also grown the lambs. So tell me about the lamb and the different ways that people can connect to what you're doing through these meals.
Yeah, so the other motivation for creating an event, a quarterly event, where it's another income stream, it's another revenue stream. So that's because our farm is the land that we have bought. It's too small to generate a full wage from. So we don't want to buy more land. I'd rather use my skills that I honed over 20 years to create something that I feel like, adds value to our little business and means that, it's more sustainable and that potentially it could stand on its own 2 feet in the future. So that's one way of engaging. And then, our website, we have an online shop where you can buy the tickets to the events. You can also sign up to the mailing list, which means that I'll send an email out maybe twice a quarter. One of those emails is to let you know that the lamb boxes have gone on sale. And you have to be, I don't even feel really comfortable saying this, like you have to be quick, but it's not because there's like a crazy demand for our lamb. It's just because we're so small. There's really not a lot to go around. So if you're really keen, then sign up and then keep an eye on your inbox, because as soon as you get the email, you can jump on and snap up a box. And also something exciting actually that's sort of been just in the background simmering away is the fleece and the fibre side of things, which is more Alex's section. But when we launched the website in December and we put our first boxes on, I think actually maybe it was November, but it was very hot. And so we weren't focused on the yarn and we weren't focused on the fleeces. And also we had sent fleeces, we'd sent 2023 fleeces to the mill that we didn't get back until I think it was early 2025, which then didn't go on sale until, the end of that year. So the whole process is just like, it takes so long to have the animal shorn, to skirt the fleece and go over it and then get it all packaged ready to send to the mill. The mill takes anywhere between 10 to 12 months until, your yarn's ready to be picked up, or they'll send it back to us. And we know the owners of the mills. It's like there's Gail that does our alpaca, and Paul and I forget. Alex knows. Anyway, she'll kill me now for forgetting that. But anyway, so I really love the story of the yarn, because it's just like with wine. There's like the terroir of the wine, and the food is the meat is a reflection of the farming and the land and the area. The fleece is a reflection of that animal's year on the land, and you can tell a lot by looking at the fleece. An animal has to have a beautiful diet for the fiber in the end to be really beautiful. So it's a great representation of the farm, and people have started ordering it. Like spinners that I didn't think that there were people that were as crazy as me, or even perhaps more crazy, but the spinning people are nuts. And so that's really cool, because that means that we sell them raw fleece, which doesn't need to be processed, which means you're cutting out a whole expense, like from a business perspective, and you're really connecting with the customer, because people are really searching for ethically produced fiber. And the feedback from some of these women is that they love that we have names for the ewes and that they can read about how we farm. And so for me, it's not a revenue stream that we've put a lot of energy into pushing. I've just put a lot of info on the website so that when people Google or people search, they can find it. And so I'm really excited about that.
That's so great. I love it. I'd never had thought that, I'd never thought about yarn like that it would be a reflection of place and season, and that its quality would change year to year. And, to someone who already knows that just probably sounds so disconnected and ignorant. But yeah, you're always learning.
Yeah, there's so much. There's just endless. Like, it's just endless.
Yeah. So, Jenna, I'll also put a link to our event in the show notes, and would love people to go along. Also, maybe there's room for one more link to my new Substack, where I'm going to share news of other events and this one, and who knows what I'm going to do on the Substack as time goes on. But I just wouldn't mind, reading out what I've written about this Salon Series, because these 2 meals are going to be the launch of the Salon Series, and I don't really know what it is, but this is what I've written. Join with me to revive the salon, a forum for conversation, testing ideas, and seeking wisdom together, along with delicious food and considered drinks in a beautiful place. There are various notions of the salon. I chime with the salon as a place for enlightened conversation, female energy, discretion and pause, an open-hearted search for commonality rather than a throttling of difference. My salon starts with food, but you can put a food lens on any topic, so we could end up discussing anything. In our hurried world, layered with technologies, where is the space for talking and listening? Maybe it's here. So yeah, I think that sort of says it. Like, let's just say, first of all, men are very welcome, but let's go. Female energy is good. And, technology, we're on a podcast, you're listening to it digitally. Like, it's not like technology is necessarily evil, but I feel like the more the months pass, the more I feel like people are so hungry for sitting in a room and having true connections, and looking into one another's eyes and opening our ears, and just seeing what happens in trust and generosity. So that's what I'm hoping is going to happen at these meals.
Oh, honestly, I'm so excited I'm really excited that it's sort of evolving. Do you agree? It's sort of evolving in a way that's really organic, and it's just happening like how it's like unfolding for us. I don't feel like we're really pushing I don't know. I feel really like just warm about it. It's I feel like really privileged to be involved in it, and I really want to push it in a way that gets viewers like this, like that. What you've written about it, I want that to be realised. Yeah, I just want to play my part. So,
yeah, well, it's so much more than playing your part. You're integral. Okay, enough of our love in. But Jenna, we'll talk again soon. I wish you all the best with the weather events and the lambing, and may there be much sprightliness and
the kidding.
And kidding.
And the kidding, because I think we're going to have, I think we're having kids right now. Like Alex is up the paddock. I did the night shift and Alex is up the paddock now, but I think we might have kids tonight.
Amazing. Well, I look forward to sharing in the kidding joy. Always so great to catch up. We'll chat again soon.
Thanks, Dani.
Thanks, Jenna. This is Dirty Linen. I'm Dani Valent. We bring you untold stories from the food world. Real, raw, unafraid, hopeful. We're driven by a belief that food provides endless opportunities for learning, connecting, and creating the world we want to live in. Delicious, open-hearted, meaningful. If you know a story that needs telling, get in touch. Write to dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au. Thank you for listening.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.